So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday session here at Namaste, Lake Chapala. I'm very excited. Well, I'm excited every day, but I think I'm particularly excited for today's session just because we're going to be going into the simple solution that's always right in front of us, but which we have to face. That's the key. We can't deny we can't deny the problem and accept the solution. We have to do the whole thing. It's a whole formula almost that we need to follow. And if we can, then we can realize that there's really only been one problem and there's only one solution. But to get to that solution, we have to look at what we've believed until now to be the problem or the issue. So I just finished bringing this out a few moments ago, writing this, so I'm going to read this section. It's a little bit longer than normal, but I think this is so important. It's really critical that we really get this and where we're being guided. So take a deep breath. And here we go. You believe that you have many problems and that each one of them needs a special solution. Don't deny it, it's what you believe. This is why you've spent endless amounts of time trying to identify and address the many issues that confront you, believing that one day you'll come to the end of the list and you'll finally have time to rest. But rest never comes. As soon as you solve the endless litany of issues, unexpected ones claim your attention. And so it continues. An endless stream of issues, each one needing a different solution, leading toward an undefined moment that never seems to arrive. I am here to tell you the truth, nothing more. And here it is. There's only one problem, and that problem has already been solved. There's only one problem, and that problem has already been solved. If you could accept this, everything in your life and in the world would suddenly relax, and you would realize that the peace that you've been seeking has been waiting for you to open your eyes and accept the truth. The peace that you've been seeking has been waiting for you to open your eyes and to accept this truth. But before that can happen, there is another, though illusory, problem that we must first address. And here it is. You have a problem with only having one problem. You have a problem with only having one problem. You haven't been able to see that until now, but now we're going to look at it clearly. Okay, here we go. You, in your separate split mind, will do one of two things until you finally accept the simple solution that I am offering you. You will say that since the problem is unreal, that there's nothing that you need to do to dispel its effects. Once again, this is the first thing that we'll do in our split mind. You'll hear what you just heard, ultimately that there's only one problem and one solution. You'll hear that and you'll say that since the problem is unreal, that there's nothing you need to do to dispel its effects. You want to skip to the solution without addressing the unreality of the issue that rules every part of your life. The unreality of the issue that has ruled every part of your life. You put on a mask that hides your real face, a happy mask with a joker's smile, while underneath your teeth are clenched, ready to attack if given reason to defend your position. So that's the first choice. The second choice is to deny there is a problem at all and therefore, once again, skip the solution. You will claim that you are the solution. And you would be right in this. Of course, you would be right, but you don't really believe what you're saying. You don't really believe it. You're just saying the words. It's just an intellectual thing. It's not a deep experience yet. Once again, this is what will happen if you deny that there's a problem at all and try to just skip to the solution. It is more of a mental construct than a true experience. More of a mental construct than a true experience, and you will use that idea that there is no problem. You'll use that idea to stay locked in the prison of your split mind, all the while claiming you are free. Oh, now it's becoming clear. I am offering you easy escape from that prison. And here it is. Here's the escape. Your single problem has already been solved. When you accept this, then you'll begin hearing a new voice guiding you home. A voice that knows the way to peace and can clearly guide you there. It reminds you that if you only have one problem, then there can only be one solution. This leads to the peace that you've been seeking from the very beginning. A peace that has always been within reach, but which could not have been gained while you complicated the path to salvation. Just remember, one problem, one solution. I love this part where it says, first of all, there's only one problem and one solution, but you have another illusory problem. And that is that you have a problem with having only one problem. I think that's so funny, and it's so true. Because once again, we want to skip steps. The ego is going to co-opt anything. Your split mind is going to use any evidence to keep you locked in that prison. And it will usually, especially when we come to this point, because you're so close to heaven, you're right there at the doorstep. And so the ego is going to use a very subtle little trick to keep you from stepping inside. And that trick is, well, you don't really have a problem. You know, there really is no problem. But without looking at that single problem, you don't really get to the solution that there is no problem. You have to look at it. You have to address it. You have to see what it's done to you. You have to see what you've sacrificed in believing it. And then the real answer, that it's not a real problem, suddenly comes to you. And then the other illusory problem, that you have a problem with only having one problem, disappears as well. Do you see that? There seem to be two problems. There's only one problem, but you have to look at it. You can't just say, there is no problem. Because then, as it says here, what you're really doing is you are putting on a mask that hides your real face, a happy mask with a joker's smile, while underneath your teeth are clenched, ready to attack if given reason to defend your position. Take off that mask. You don't need it. Just accept this simple solution. But look at the problem. Realize what you've sacrificed, what you've given up in living within this problem. And then it will be solved for you. Not in some illusory way where it lingers in the background, because that's all that really happens. You haven't really done anything. You've just pushed it to the back. And that's where it's most powerful. That's where it can do its deepest work, when it's in the back of your consciousness. But when you really look at it and you look through it, then you dissolve it completely and it's not there anymore. So that's our lesson for the day. And now we turn to the practical. And I would love Vicky and Teddy to share what they're feeling around this as well.
Okay, Jimmy. Well, I want to applaud you on your practicality because you have excelled at explaining how our psyche in this split situation is working. And my own experience is we do have our natural Christ mind that as we let go of these false judgments that have been driving us, that we are more inclined to stay in the state of grace. That's when it's most important to be vigilant, to watch where the hidden judgments are still driving us by witnessing what seems to come to us as some upset, bump in the road, or problem, no matter what it is. If we're ducking from it or we're striving from it, it's the cause of that would be in our own mind. And sometimes even striving for the good things is as much a problem because it isn't that natural open state that is grace-filled but unknown. So the step that you're describing, what happens is, what Jesus says in the Course primarily, as he describes this whole process, is that we either project it onto others or we deny and pretend we don't have it within ourselves. And that's the two ways to keep self-will and to keep judgment and the life of separation as our life going. That's how the ego survives. And we're feeding that wolf when we either deny we have a problem or we say someone else has a problem. And the description you've given is what Jesus also calls forgiveness. But in that workbook lesson that says you must not avoid conflict. You must look at it, not evade it, not avoid it, not call it by another name. We need to look at it and say, this is representative of a belief I have that isn't true. Thank you that I can see it. Thank you for this situation that brings what's been unconscious to the surface of my mind so that I can choose again, literally, and not hold to this belief. This is just another form of misidentity and false will. And in seeing it, I can recognize that and let it go. If it stings me, if it doesn't sting me, then I easily move into the remembrance of who I am. But if there is a sting, that's where we need to be very honest. One of the fundamental characteristics of a teacher of God is that we are honest with ourselves, honest with one another, consistent, no word belies a thought, belies an action. It's that kind of scrutiny to ourselves that we have to be, especially now because we're on the threshold of living in our natural Christ mind and Christ consciousness. So we can't let this be usurped by little judgments that we seem to let ourselves get away with. So if I see a problem in my life with my mother, my father, my sister, whoever, I own it and I look at it and I feel the twinge, whatever it is. And in that willingness to look at it, I'm taking responsibility for it 100%. Then the step of, I don't want to choose this anymore. I do have one problem that I think I'm separate here trying to get something, whether it's be right about this or attention or whatever it is. I no longer want that. I want to remember my one identity and let that solution come to me, through grace, not by me, for me, and in my own understanding and negotiating. So the answer will come by grace. The process is, the greater label has been forgiveness. And the one answer is that, my brother, this isn't so. This is not so. Jesus says, well, what would you do if you really knew this was an hallucination? Right. It's different, right? But when we're fighting for something, or when it stings our heart, it's not an hallucination. We think it's who we are. And the step through that is owning it, asking for that correction and stepping back and letting that correction come. That's why there's a moment, and that's why silence, which Christina talks about all the time, is so, so important, because in the silence, we are able to step back and stop the loop thinking that keeps going back to what if or that or they should. And then the answer is always very specific. It's delivered by grace, and it is going to be very specific. It will show up in our personal world as a specific expression of love, because the answer was lack of love. I mean, the question always had to do with lack of love, and the answer will always be a greater joining and an expression of love. And then there's a natural giving. If there is not a natural giving, loving, and joining, we can be sure that we kept it in the head and not the heart. That's a very good barometer for correction. If I still don't see that I'm giving of myself, naturally loving of myself in this situation, and seeing clearly, then it has not left the intellect. And there has not been an opening to grace. So that next step is the witness, our own loving, and what we call answering a call for love, is our own witness to that correction. So I was more conceptual than you, Jimmy. Yes, Teddy. I can give you lots of examples, but that's the basic thing.
That's beautiful. Good morning, Teddy.
Morning. Well, I got to say, first of all, before I start, I got to tell you something, Jimmy. I've known you for a while. I've never seen you this happy in my life.
Well, and to think all I had to do is close myself in.
Yeah, but you're not. I mean, you're closed in for a particular way, but also there's a communication happening.
Yes.
And you know, to me, like, you know, the course has always been my thing. I read other stuff, but Jesus has been talking to me since before the course, and he's the one who I listen to, in the sense that he's my teacher in that way. And the one thing he says in the course is, you'll believe this course in its entirety or not at all. And he says, you teach what you need to learn. And in that, the gift of every brother who comes to you, whether you're a counselor or a teacher or everything, is they're offering you the ability to teach what you need to learn. And that's where the gratitude comes in. Mm-hmm. Who knows there's only one thing to learn, that there is no world and we're home in heaven. But the idea that somebody's standing in front of you asking you a question and all is the idea that there's something that you need to learn and remember. Now, the human mind has the idea that learning is specific, like we learn things. But learning, the way Jesus is talking about it, is more like the ability to open your mind to a flow and a union of joining, which you cannot do alone and you cannot know alone. So it's like the idea that the teacher is more advanced than the student is not quite true. The student and the teacher are in the same order of, he uses the word, the same, we're all within the same order. And we're brothers to help us remember what we need to learn. And each and every moment is a new moment. Like yesterday's gone. Doesn't matter what I learned. It doesn't matter what I knew. If someone comes to me and asks me a question, they're asking me a question because I need to remember something. And the forgetting of that is what reinforces separation and makes people into roles rather than brothers. So I think I know something, and that's why they're here. They're not here for that reason. They're here because we can learn something together that we couldn't learn apart. And unless I was gifted with their presence, I would have no chance of learning it. And the remembrance of that allows me to not have to sort of feel like there's something I need to know. There's an experience that's available, and it's available in union with our brother. And without our brother coming to us, even if they're thinking that we know more, they're coming to us because I need to teach what I need to learn. Amen. And the recognition of that allows us to be brothers and be equal in the sonship, even here. Now, but in the course, Jesus is clear. There's some incredible stuff in the last chapters where Jesus said, yeah, not even this course is real. However, if you're here, there's learning that has to occur. And it's not we learn a fact. Anybody can remember a fact, though there is no world. But the experience of there is no world has to come in the union with something that is also not of this world, because otherwise you're existing in a condition of separation. And the teacher is always being brought students who help them remember what they need to learn for the purpose of learning it themselves. And without that, you're just setting up another realm or form of separation in which you think there's something you know, but it's obviously not true because people wouldn't come to you to help you learn.
Exactly. You know, there's this whole idea of one problem, one solution. It's true, but you don't believe it. If you're here, if you're sitting here right now, listen, you don't believe it. And the quicker you admit that, the quicker you come to that one solution. But you can't come to that one solution as long as you say, yes, I know that. No, you don't. You don't know. No, is if you find yourself here, you put it so beautifully, Teddy. Whoever comes to me asking me a question, this is a question that I need to learn. Otherwise, they wouldn't come to me asking that question. So resist the urge to skip that step, to just say, oh, there is, only one problem and it's not a real problem. Okay. No, go into it. Don't just walk around it, move through it, because that's the only way you're going to come into the true experience of that. And that's the only thing this is guiding you to, is the experience of that. And then you just will find yourself home. What that looks like, I have no idea. What it feels like, I think I'm starting to understand that. What it feels like. What it looks like, who cares what it looks like? All I know is that that's my desire. And I can't just walk around the truth or the problem to get there. Thanks to both of you. That was brilliant. Wow, this is a great discussion, guys. And if there's anyone else who would like to share anything or just share their own inspiration around that, please do. Who would like to share anything at all? Brock, I can see you're deep into this. That's beautiful. You want to share anything, Baraka? I can feel it just starting to erupt.
Words, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble.
I get it.
Um, Teddy, thank you. Thank you so much for that. That is what had the lesson that has been forefront in my mind since the day I picked the course up. The fact that I am here only to learn what I'm wanting to learn, and that is being projected out on the screen as my brother, my mighty companion, and I am asking that mighty companion to come and teach me this lesson. And how dare I deny the opportunity of doing that? That's the ultimate ego. I don't need to know that. I don't need to know you. I don't know why you're here. Go away. Get out of my face. That's what the ego wants, because the ego doesn't dare learn the lesson.
Yeah.
Well, it can't, but that's beside the point. I had something, Jimmy, something you said earlier that brought something up, and it was a kind of a meditation. It was what was I was being told was listen, and listen to one sound. I wrote it down here, so I don't want to screw it up here. One sound. The sound is that of a key in a lock, and the lock is my prison. I look to the lock and realize it is my own hand holding the key. But I cannot believe I had the key all along. So therefore, I must continue to force the belief that I am a prisoner. And until I stop that idea, until I realize that everything, including that prison door that's in front of me and the key that's in my hand and the brother that's come to teach me, until I accept that all of those things are there because I asked them to be,
Yes.
I will not be able to progress.
That's
I
right.
will not be able to realize the truth. I have the key in my hand. There's the lock. All I have to do is turn it.
Yep.
Thank
Full
you.
responsibility. Beautiful. Beautiful, Baraka. Thank you. Yeah. There's something that is so joyful about this and funny. And yeah, it just gets to this point where it's so absurd. What was that again?
The joke we forgot to laugh at.
Exactly. We forgot to, but now we're laughing. Like, okay, I get it now. Yeah, thank you. Anybody else want to share anything? All right, well, let's go to Namaste. Jeff, go ahead and unmute yourself. I heard you guys talking earlier, so I'm pretty sure that the microphone is working now.
Testing, testing.
Yay! It's working. Good job. Okay, so before it's too late, I'm going to say, hey, Dawn, do you want to share anything? I'm tired of calling on you and then there's no sound. Now we have sound. What's in your heart today?
Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. Of course, I have something always. I love this lesson. I love this message. And I want to jump on what beautiful Vicky said. What I believe I heard her say is that, in fact, we are at the precipice of a great awakening, a great consciousness. And it's so exciting what's going on. For me, this amazing, unprecedented time is not only beautiful, but as we disintegrate the ego, which of course you're right there in that beautiful space you've created, we are allowing the I am consciousness, that Christ consciousness, to come into us. There is no more Jimmy. There certainly is no Dawnness. Letting that go, never existed. And the one problem that we are all having, of course, is not that I am separate from God, but that I believe I am separate from God. Never happened, of course, not possible.
Right.
In that belief is all suffering, all suffering. And when I let go of that belief, there is no suffering. I loved that as Vicky was sharing, and of course the ever practical. For me, my conundrum for most of this embodiment has been, I was a human doing, and I could call that seva. My work was in helping people, which I love. I came to help. It is my yoga, seva and meditation. But for myself, the doing was distraction. Create, produce, active, very active body. No, complete distraction. Going within is important to me. Truth lies within. If I don't go within, I go without. I'm going to say that again. If I don't go within, I go without. Truth is not out there. Fox Mulder had it wrong. Truth is within. And when I go within and when I stop my busyness, the doing is a distraction. Within is communion with God. There is truth, knowledge, and wisdom, and that's where I commune with God. That's where I have my I am consciousness and my Christ consciousness. If my hands are busy, they cannot be open to receive. Come with holy, empty hands unto God. That is my path, and I've let go of so much doing. I do my seva, and the rest of the day I am in communion with God. And I honor you, Jimmy, for your commitment in doing the same. Being empty, being within this beautiful space you've created without distraction so that you also may be with God. Thank you for all that you're doing for us and for the world. I honor you, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, dear. And I really relate to what you're saying as well, because even in a situation like this, the mind that doesn't want to look at this, the mind that wants to skip steps, the mind that wants to skip right to the solution, wants to distract itself. And even here, and it will distract itself in beautiful ways. In my case, it's writing songs like "I love you," and I find myself just wanting to do that constantly. But that's good because at least I'm able to confront that. I'm able to, I'm not skipping it. I'm not just skipping through it. I'm looking like I want to distract myself. And yet I know I can't. Ultimately, I can't do that. I mean, I can, but I don't want to really. I want to go into this. And tightening the container like this gives one the opportunity. But you're right, Dawn. It's just, this is what we do. This is what the mind does until it stops doing it and realizes that it's only through looking at that one problem that I get to the one solution. I can't just skip to the solution. I have to look at the problem and realize that it's not a real problem. Anybody else there at Namaste want to share anything?
Yes, I'm not at Namaste. I'm in my little
Hey,
casita.
Bethel, I can hear you. Go right ahead, dear.
Um, Yesterday, you talked about when we are feeling judgment against our brother, to love ourselves. And so I was thinking, okay, a certain political person whose name I will not mention, I'm going to love this person. And I put my arms around myself and I thought, I can't do it. I want to do it. I'm willing to do it, but I can't seem to do it. And then I remembered what's tattooed on one of your arms. There is no love but God's. And I said, oh, there is no love but God's. I can do that. I can love through God, and God will take care of this person whose name I cannot mention. So all I have to do is remember there is no love but God's. That is all.
Yay. That's beautiful, Bethel. Thank you. Good reminder.
You know, Jimmy, your hugging strategy, it's like a mantra. It replaces the busy thought mind.
It really works. Yeah. I've been doing it so much, and just every time, I mean, this is like going right to the heart of the problem, like we were saying before. Every time I notice myself judging, whether it be, we'll just call him Voldemort, uh, judging Voldemort, the one whose name we shall not mention, or anyone else. It could be subtle, it could be severe. It doesn't matter. It's all a projection of my own self-hatred. Therefore, who is it that needs love here? Is it Voldemort? No, it's me. And it feels good, especially at a time when we're not really hugging each other so much. Give yourself a hug, and it physiologically it has an effect as well. Because just wrapping your arms around yourself and giving yourself a big hug, it releases those endorphins, and you feel good. So why wouldn't I do that? Thank you, Jeff. All right. Anyone else want to share anything before we close it down and go out to live this? Yes, Baraka, go right ahead.
I was just thinking that it's a good thing to not be able to reach out and touch a physical body right now, because if there's any kind of defense I feel I must raise against any other person, there's only one person I can hug right now, and that's myself.
Yeah.
I am feeling defensive. I am feeling attacked. That means I am not feeling loved. And all I have to do is just give myself love, or not even give it to me, just realize that it's there already.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy. It makes all the other problems of the world go away.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It really is so easy if we just allow it to be. And in fact, there's one person who I think said this very well, and so I think maybe ending with this voice would be a great way for us to conclude. Hold on. So it's time to fall in love with yourself. Everybody, it's so easy, 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 it's so easy. It's so easy to fall in love. It's so easy to fall in love. Yeah. Oh, I love that song. All right, my dear friends, my dear family, thank you so much for looking directly at this. I can feel each one of us doing exactly what we're here to do, to look directly at the fact that there is only one problem and one solution. We're not skipping steps here. We're going right into it because we want this for real. We really want only the peace of God. And the only way that's going to happen is to realize that we're there already, but we have to go through this. As long as we find ourselves here, this is the work. So thank you, Teddy and Vicky and Baraka and Dawn and everyone else who shared today. This was a wonderful, very good session. Oh, so let us end then. Before I forget, let me go to our prayer. In fact, I don't think we need the words. I think you know it by now. Yeah? Let's go ahead and just really announce this to the universe. I am the holy, perfect child of God, complete and healed and whole, shining in the reflection of God's love. In me is creation sanctified and guaranteed eternal life. In me is love perfected, fear impossible, and joy established without opposite. I am the holy home of love itself. I am the heaven where love resides. I am God's holy sinlessness itself, for in my purity abides God's own.
And so it is.
It is.